Today, you're going to learn how to create an illustrative web design. Oh, and hey, I'd like to point out this video's awesome sponsor, Skillshare.com, which offers thousands of classes in design, coding, business, and more. For instance, you're about to watch my illustration tutorial, but you could watch this full course on illustration at Skillshare. Now, Skillshare is just $10 a month, but if you're the first 200 students to use my very exclusive link below in the description here on YouTube, then you get the first 2 months free. All right, so let's get started. Hey everyone, Gary Simon of Coursetro. So when it comes to illustration and web design, that has been a huge topic here in 2018, and I think the trend is going to continue in 2019 as well. It's one that I really like because it really brings a lot of color and imagery to our web designs outside of just using typical photographs. So today we're going to be focusing on creating this illustration-based kind of landing page, and I'm going to describe all of my thought process going behind that. There's a lot of ideas about color as well as contrast. And yeah, so today's question, if you had to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, what would you rate yourself in terms of your ability to create vector illustrations? All right, so let me know what you think. I'll rate myself in the top pinned comment. Make sure you subscribe here. Check out the Patreon account in the description, and let's get started. All right, so to get started here in Adobe XD or Experience Design, and by the way, you don't have to use XD because we're not going to be using any prototyping features, just really just the drawing tools to get this going. So let's see here. We're just going to use a Web 1920 artboard here, and I'm not really going to worry about making it responsive. We're just going to be working within the single artboard because it's going to be more of a tutorial about design and UI design and illustration and colors than it is about prototyping or responsiveness or anything like that. The very first thing I'm going to do is I decided right from the get-go that I want this to be kind of like a split column landing page, or where there's 2 columns, and on either the left or the right side. Traditionally, it's on the right side. You have some sort of really intriguing illustration, some type of vibrant color illustration that catches the eye, something that's relevant and pertinent to obviously the project or the page in question. And then on the left side, having your ad copy, like your headline, your subheadline, a call to action, and then just a brief logo and a little kind of like a navigation up here on the right side. All right, so to get started, we're going to focus on this illustration point, which is going to take the bulk of the tutorial anyhow. So to get started with that column, we're just going to use a rectangle here, which is the R area, and you could go 50-50 if you want, like right here. But I want it to take a little bit more, like 60-40. So just right around here will work well. So this is going to be the entire sort of illustration. So let's go ahead and get rid of the default border that it adds. And here we can either choose to go flat color for this entire illustration. There's no right or wrong, but I see as a trend that's been occurring, gradients are definitely coming back, and I think in 2019 especially, gradients are going to be kind of like a staple. They're coming back. We're getting outside of the whole flat UI design trend, and I just see, especially when it pertains to illustrations and even call to action buttons and stuff like that, the gradients are coming back. So we're going to use a gradient for the fill here and for this kind of this background. And at this point, you have to ask yourselves, what is the predominant color that you want to use? For me, we're just going to go, which has been a big trend as well, in the purple area. So what I'm going to do is first change this to linear color, and the direction or the angle of the gradient is up to you. I'm going to make it kind of like a 45-degree angle, a diagonal right there. And for the first color picker up here, it doesn't really matter. We'll just get out an initial color, and then we'll see how the second color over here interacts with that. So you can go around the same hue if you want, or you can go down a little bit or up a little bit to see how that influences the color. You see if we go down, I think I kind of like that right here, except I may reverse these. So I'll simply take this. I thought I could reverse these. What is going on here? I guess we reverse them up here. There we go. I'm only reversing them because on my initial attempt, that's how I have it. So I'm trying to stick to the template that I have here, or the original design that I have. I like this. It works pretty well. As you can see, we're only changing the hue a little bit to a more blue, to a more purple/pink up here. All right, so this works well. So next step. Now this part's obviously important because this is it's so subjective when it comes to figuring out what type of design and what type of style do we want this illustration to be in. So for this project, it's a fictional project, of course, about like a guitar, like a custom guitar manufacturer website or something. And so I thought about just trying to break it down to its most simple element and instead of being 100%, what would you say? How would we refer to this as? Instead of being 100% accurate in terms of just getting a guitar on here and designing it, like, you know, making it perfect looking, I decided to take a more abstract approach to this design, which really works well because it catches people's eye, because it's unique. So I decided to break it down to simple elements. So as a part of an electric guitar, you have the guitar pickups, as they're called, and they're the little rounded rectangle things with the 6 little pickups, the metal portions that stick out. So that's what we're going to focus on. And in case you're not sure what I'm talking about, let me real quickly do an images Google search just to show you what I'm talking about, and then we'll try to make it kind of like an abstract representation of what I'm talking about. So you can see these pickups right here, especially this one. They're right there. It's the black things. There's all different styles, of course. There's humbuckers, as they're called. But the shape in and of itself is very simple. That's what I'm talking about right here, essentially. So let's do that real quick. So what we'll do is we'll take the rectangle tool again, and I'm just going to left click somewhere. Yeah, right around there is fine. We can adjust the size as needed. We're going to pull these in all the way because that's how they all pretty much are. They're rounded. All right. And then we have to ask ourselves, you know, do we want this to be 100% white sort of design where the foreground elements that compose of this illustration are completely contrasting with the background? Or do we want it to kind of be more of like a watermark or something like that? In the case of a watermark, or something that has less contrast, you could do other stuff like put actual white foreground elements on top if you wanted to. For us, we're going to stick to around the same hue except change it up. So no border. We'll put a linear gradient, and we'll make this go from here to here. And so for this first color here, we're going to choose kind of a lighter pink right around there. And then we'll come down here and we'll choose, let's see here, a even lighter, right, basically around the same hue, but just lighter, just like that. All right, so now let's zoom up. I'm using Alt scroll wheel to zoom up, space bar, left click to pan around. And now let's put in the little circles that exist. So I'm holding, I'm left clicking and then Shift Alt to get this up here. All right, and for this color, I think we're just going to use the background right there. So now we could use the repeat grid tool with it selected and just make sure you get 6 of these and then space them out evenly as needed. So I'm just making sure this right one is lining up in relation to where this starts, and making sure these are pretty even. It looks like they are. All right, so Control 1. I think we could probably make these a little bit bigger. So if I just double click into one, hold Shift, or left click, hold Shift and Alt, we can make them a little bit bigger. And don't worry if it's getting cut off, because we can now take the repeat grid tool and we can take these and then ungroup the grid. Now we can see them all. So it's just a little bit bigger. All right. Next, I wanted to kind of to give it even a little bit more, not complexity per se, but just to make this stand out a little bit more, to give it depth. We're going to add shadows coming off of each one. So to do that, we'll use the pen tool, and I'm going to left click right around here, and these are going to be like 45-degree angle shadows. So I'm going to hold shift to get to that 45-degree angle, and then just end it right here at the bottom. I'm still holding shift, by the way. Come out right around here. All right, I got pretty close. It's always hard to eyeball this perfectly. But now what we want to do, I'm going to hit V to get to the select tool, and I'm going to double click in so we have access to these anchor points. I'm going to select this one right here, left click, hold shift, select this one up here, and then I'm just going to hold shift and bring it out so that it lines up right where it needs to be. And if you need to, you can just take this anchor point specifically and drag it up a little bit. So now it looks terrible, of course. So that's because we need to get rid of the border, give it a fill. And of course, as you can see now, it really becomes obvious that it needs a little bit more work. So I'm just going to take these two, drag them over here. Right around there would be good. And then we're going to get out the layers. Make sure this is at the bottom of all of the ellipses. All right, and then we just need to change the color up. So the color, you could get away with several different potential options here. You could make it black and then just take the opacity way down. I think that's what we'll do. And as you can see, we're kind of coming off at the edge here, so let's drag that down. There we go. Now, what we can do is take this, repeat the grid, pull this off, and we need one more. And then let's drag them in. Perfect. I think that looks pretty accurate right around there. All right, so now, of course, we need to kind of fix this area up right here. So let's take the ungroup grid, double click into this. We'll pull this up. We'll pull this up as well. All right, and then we'll take this area. Let's get in here. All right, and then we'll add a anchor point like right here and here, and that's pretty good. Probably could have done that with Bezier, but that's okay. All right, so now we have our first. You know what? I think I'm going to take these real quick, these paths, all path ones, and change up the color to more of like a darker hue of this right here. That way it's not so devoid of color, the shadows. All right, so I like that. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna, by the way, first of all, I'm gonna take this background, not hide it, but lock it so we can't select it. We'll take all of these and we're going to duplicate them. So Control D, drag down right around here. All right, so this second one, we're gonna change up the aesthetic just a little bit. So if I double click in here, or just select it rather, we can get rid of the fill and give it a border. So the border is going to be something like right around this color right here, and we're going to increase the stroke to around 5. Now, why did I choose this color? You could have chosen this one. It's really just, it's up to you essentially. I kind of like how it looks right here, so we'll change that back. And then the middle portions, these little dots, we'll take these, all 6, and we're going to make something that contrasts more, obviously, because now it doesn't have that background to contrast against. So I'm going to choose maybe right around here. All right, and this, I didn't choose this color just because I wanted to bring more variation in. So now, I think I kind of like that in and of itself. We may need to make these a little bit, make them stand out just a tad bit more. And we can also group these up and then stick them underneath the rectangle 3. There we go. That way it's not overlapping. All right, so that's what we have so far. let's go ahead and we're going to, at this point, take them and then duplicate them, Control D, and then just move them down, right around here. All right, and there we go. I think I like that. So now let's go ahead, continue on, and we're going to add in some strings, the strings that kind of come on top. All right, because just this in and of itself isn't enough. So let's add, we'll use the line tool, and we'll come right around here, and I'm actually going to go up higher, like up here. I can do that afterwards though. I'm just going to hold Shift, left click, drag down, and we're going to change the border here. The color again is not going to be white or black or whatever. First of all, we'll make this initial one a little bit thicker, like around 6 right there. And then this color, I think we're just going to use right around there. More of the pink hue right there. Now I'm going to take this and we're going to repeat the grid across. Now we only need 6, and I think that's 6 right there. And we're going to get these all evened up right around there. All right, so now what we'll do is ungroup the grid. And now the way strings work when it comes to electric guitars, it's called the high E string is always the thickest, and then it gets thin down here, increasingly so. But I'm just going to change every 2, I think. So starting here on the 3rd string, we'll go ahead and take this from 6 to 4. This one will be maybe 3. This one will be 2. And this will be 2 as well. We don't want it to be too thin. All right, awesome. So actually, let's take all these, and I think I might want to push this over to this side a little bit more. There we go. All right, so now at this point, I'm going to take this just to make this look a little bit different and give a perspective. I'm going to take everything, and we're going to rotate it while holding Shift to 45 degrees. Now, this is the part where I mentioned I want to make these longer. So let's do that before we do that. So I'm going to take all 6 of those, hold left click and hold Alt, and then just scale up, push up. All right. So now we'll take them again, hold Shift, and then I want to increase the size of everything so that these kind of showing up bigger. So I'm going to take this, left click, Shift and Alt, and drag out right around, right around there seems pretty good right there. Awesome. Now, of course, it's not going to show outside of there, even though these are coming out, but right here it does show, and that's fine. I kind of like that. It's just a different look. It was unintentional when I first did it, and I just kind of liked it. Now, one final thing we'll do is to give it more depth. Traditionally, when it comes to these pickups, they're actually kind of coming up a little bit off the guitar itself. So to give it more depth, we're going to add a shadow coming down here. Because we turned everything 45 degrees, we just rotated everything. These angles are now just straight up and down at 90-degree angles, as you can see here. So with that in mind, we'll go ahead and take the pen tool and we'll left click right around there, and I'm going to come down. Let's see here. I'm holding Shift. I'm not holding Shift anymore. Probably right around here. There we go. And then hold Shift. I got pretty close that time. Come back up here. We'll fix this in afterwards. And then we'll start right around here. Hold Shift. Because I'm just trying to think about how the shadows would be falling down naturally. And I'm just going to come up here in the middle. We're going to put this obviously behind everything. And there we go. So now let's get rid of the border. We'll give it a fill. We're going to take this path here and put it beneath pretty much everything. Yeah, right there's actually no, right there. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and use a gradient for this. So linear gradient. We'll start the gradient top right around here. And this is going to be kind of like a dark purple. You could probably do black. And then this one over here, push it up just a bit. This one is going to be more of the purple that's right around here. So let's see if I could do that. There we go. And then we'll take the opacity all the way down so that really fades off. Now this opacity right here definitely needs adjusted. So we'll take this down because you want it to be subtle. So I may take this down even further just so we can see a little bit over here as well. I'm thinking I might want to do that a little bit more. So if we go back to our fill, like that, now we could really see the edge over here. All right, so now all we have to do is take this, Control D to duplicate it, and we're just going to position it in the same exact area. Just like that. All right, so this looks pretty solid in my opinion. To even break up the background a little bit more with different color. Obviously, with the contour of an electric guitar, I thought I had that open. You kind of have this area right here that kind of just comes in, as well as over here. So let's do that real quickly. So I'll take the pen tool and we'll just start right here. And this is the part where this is gonna look where it looks abstract because it doesn't really look like an exact correct guitar. I'm just gonna left click right here and drag out to create a Bezier curve, and then hold shift and just come up here. We'll get rid of the border. We'll give it a fill, and the fill, we'll go ahead and just get this initial color here, linear gradient. To really make it stand out, I think we're going to use this one, this type of color right here. So we'll come up. There we go. Come up. And something like that. And then to save ourselves more time, we can, a little bit of time, Control D. Take this, rotate it. Push that over, and then change this color up even more, just to bring more variance about the design. So we'll take this and we'll push this down. Maybe this would be a more purple area. And then this one. Something like that. It looks like a very silly guitar. But again, the purpose is to be abstract though. So now, let's focus on the other content that makes up this guitar. I might want to push this in just a little bit more. So let's unlock that just by clicking that icon, push it in. And then this, we can bring in there. And then there we go. I like that. All right, so now let's put in the copy. So again, when it comes to these types of designs, you don't want to fill this in with a ton of content. You want it to be simple. And you also want to reinforce the idea of visual hierarchy through design. So what's the most important element? It's going to be the headline, and it has to be something that gives people an idea exactly what's going on. So what we can put is the most, actually instead of doing that, let's left click and drag out some space. So notice the padding that I have on the left and then also on the right. You want a good amount of padding. You don't want to be pushing stuff up against your elements here, whether that's the side of the browser or the side of this element right here. So we're going to put in all uppercase, the most stylish guitars. Now, of course, this is way too small, so I'm going to use my favorite font, Montserrat, of course, and then we're going to go to bold. We're going to make it black to really make it stand out and give it maximum contrast, and then increase this sucker quite a bit. So let's take the line height, and we're going to need to just take this Oh, I put guitar. Let's change this. Oh, no, I didn't. Let's push this down. Bring this out slightly. And I think I might want to make this a little bit smaller. Yeah, right around there. Something like that. And then we're going to go ahead and take this, duplicate it, Control D, and then really take this down, and we're going to put in a subheadline. They will melt your face off. There we go. And then we'll make this again, visual hierarchy is very important, and the way we create separation through these elements and their importance is through these different elements of design, which is usually color and contrast, scale. Obviously, the only thing we changed about this was scale. We made it much smaller, as you can see, but we can do it other ways. And in terms of typography, we can change up the weight. So we could choose light or regular for this. So that even changed up the visual appearance between these elements more so. But I think I like this right here, just for now. Again, I don't have it too close because that looks bad. You want to give your elements room to breathe. All right, so now we'll go ahead and take out the rectangle tool, and we'll create a call to action button real quick. Now, just to keep with the aesthetics, we're going to make it completely rounded, just like these over here. And then we will use a color that's similar to the gradients being used up there. So linear gradient, pull this over here. This first one, maybe right around there. Take the second one, maybe down a little bit. There we go. All right, and then on this left click with the type tool and drag out from the very left and right of the button, we'll center it, and we'll say buy a guitar. Then we will increase the contrast by making it white compared to the background. Make it bold. Right around there. All right. And then let's real quickly, just to finish it off, we'll just add a little type-based word mark logo. So guitar comp for company. And we'll get, I don't know, that color right there. Oh, this has a stroke on it. Let's get rid of that. And then finally, over here, we can duplicate this. Maximum contrast means making it white. We're going to scale this down. And we'll say right here, home. We'll say this one will be guitars. Duplicate, Control D. This one will be about. Duplicate it. And then contact. Make sure these are all even. There you go. Oh, I had a duplicate there. There you go. So I'm going to take all of them. Put them right around here. Yeah, and there we go. I think that looks pretty solid. So this is it, kind of maximized, so we can get the full depth of this. And there we go. I really like this. I think it's quite effective. So hopefully you took a lot from that. All right, everyone. Again, hopefully you were able to take something out of that process and you now be able to translate it to your own projects. Make sure you answer today's question, which if you had to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate yourself in terms of your ability to create vector illustrations? You know, the good old pen tool and all of that stuff. So let me know. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.